keep playing.
And welcome back to Sports the NEMO Way, the San Antonio Spurs episode. So as you can imagine, we are talking about the San Antonio Spurs all-time starting five, which personally I think is pretty straightforward, but my mom doesn't agree. And that being said, all five of us are here. We don't technically have a guest, but I think we've mentioned it before. My mother, the only person to email us rarely ever, is a big San Antonio Spurs fan. So we have her list, but she refused to come on the show because she's being a wink. So, anyway, that being said, love you, Mom.
Good cover up there, Alberta.
But because of my mom, I'm going to have to put Greg Ostertag and Scott Pollard on the Spurs starting five.
Oh, no.
Because she wouldn't come on here and argue her points. But anyway.
No more apple pie for you.
That's right. That's right.
He's spending Thanksgiving in the corner.
Anyway, closer than that, it's my birthday. She might not.
Today for you.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's get started. Drew, who is your Spurs all-time point guard?
Tony Parker.
Mine too.
Oh, yeah, he's mine. Mine, too. And Linnaeus as well. Nay picked Tony Parker.
You guys are making me nervous with it. You guys weren't saying it damn loud.
I was kind of zoned out.
By the way, I kept saying my mom the whole time. It's also Wade's mom. So
Yes. And my sister.
And my aunt.
And Ray's friend.
I think it's Ray's pen pal because Ray runs our email. So
Yeah.
That's true. They become
Old Tony, 6-time All-Star, 4-time NBA champ, 4-time All-NBA. He's all rookie. He got a Finals MVP. And then with San Antonio, he was 15 points, 5 assists, a steal, 3 rebounds, nothing with the blocks. He was a point guard for all those Spurs teams. I think he was kind of underrated scorer. People don't realize how he used to actually score a lot. He kind of stuck around a little bit, and I hurt that number more.
Yeah.
But when he wanted to with his finger roll and stuff,
floater. His floater was nasty.
his floater and his finger roll were deadly. They're talking about a point guard that led the NBA in points in the paint. That's pretty impressive. But I will say this, to Drew's point, is his career numbers are very pedestrian.
they don't look.
15, 2, and 5.
Well, we were talking about this the other day in person. In that offense, he was never going to collect large assist numbers. The whole Spurs concept is all about constant ball movement and player movement, and and an offense like that. Like I think Alex said this when we were talking about it the other day in person. Similar to like what the Warriors do now. Not one player is going to get you 12 assists. It's a lot of ball movement, a lot of everyone running and cutting, and in their case, a lot of running and cutting and dumping it to Tim Duncan. It's kind of a goofier offense, a productive offense. But he also spearheaded that offense for a lot of years. And
I did look at like a 10-year period here, so I'm like 04 to 14. I would say the prime-ish of his career. Parker's numbers are 18 and 6.
Yeah.
So a little bit better.
Well, he scores over 20 points per game a few times, doesn't he, in his career?
Twice.
Yeah. In his prime, he was nasty on offense, and he was okay on defense. Greg Popovich won't play you if you don't play defense. So.
Right. He was a guy that put out a ton of effort on the defensive end of the floor. Yeah. He was just small, so he was never going to be a lockdown defender.
But he's one of the best players of that generation at driving to the basket. He was one of the better, or just one of the best scoring point guards in the NBA when he played, and was a quality passer and developed into a decent little mid-range shooter. Not great. Was never really a phenomenal shooter, but he got better at it as he got older. And he had some huge clutch playoff games and playoff moments.
Mm-hmm. We're also talking about a guy that is purely a below-the-rim finisher.
Mm.
You're talking about a guy leading the league in points in the paint. This is not Russell Westbrook.
Yeah,
he's
not yakking on people.
Yeah,
no, Tony Parker's not dunking on.
No, it's pure. It was skill.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was. Quickness and skill. He was an extremely skilled basketball player, or especially around the basket.
So even though, I grew up obviously watching him, I probably still underappreciate him more than what he should get. I mean, if besides Tim Duncan, no one else on those teams got appreciated as they probably should.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe other people were like, they thought they were better, but I don't think, everyone knew how good Tim Duncan was, but then the rest of the team, they just kind of said,
a lot of the credit went straight to Greg Popovich, which I think a lot of that is deserved.
he deserves it, yeah,
but Tony Parker, I think, was extremely for a large amount of their dominant run. I think he was the second best player for a large amount of it, not all of it, but a large.
I agree with you. Although I will say that I believe for at least a portion of it, there, Ginobili got a bunch more attention than Parker did.
No, I completely agree with that.
Ginobili got a lot more attention because of the international stuff, the whole thing with Argentina.
Yeah,
that one run.
Well, Ginobili's exciting. Ginobili does yak on people. He does these crazy, insane passes. He was all over the place, flopping around everywhere. He drew.
He pretty much
in.
brought the Euro step to NBA.
Yeah. He was exciting. He was super exciting to watch, and it drew a bunch of attention. And
he was either exciting or infuriating, which both drives ratings.
Yes. Yeah, and again, Ginobili was good, but I don't think he was ever really better than Tony Parker when they were both in their primes. But
he came over more ready to play than Parker.
Yeah,
Parker took a couple years to get
Parker
good.
Like 19 or something when he came over?
Yeah, he was young.
He was really, really young. Because Popovich really...
He used to scream at him out in the middle of the floor and stuff. Yeah,
really rode him hard for the beginning of his career. But, it worked out. But, yeah.
All right, well, that's everybody's point guard, so I guess we'll move over to Wade. Wade, who's your shooting guard?
I got the Iceman.
He's also mine.
He's mine.
Also mine.
That makes 5.
Now, I will say that Lene put Manu at shooting guard.
Yeah, so this means my
And
mother
she
left
put
off the clock.
Ice at small forward.
Yep.
That son of a gun. I'm going to get her a biography about Kawhi Leonard for Christmas.
I'll get her the jersey. Alex, what are you getting her?
I don't know. Yeah.
Anyway, we've had some weird conversations. Flat and simple, George Gervin is one of the greatest scorers to ever step on a basketball floor. That's what he did. He put the ball in the basket, and no one stopped him. He was the finger roll master, and he was probably the first ever great Spurs player in the franchise's history. He did have some success and never was able to get over the hump. He did have some playoff success there. I believe he made a 1 or 2 Western Conference Finals, but he always got upset or beat by a better team. But yeah, just a great individual talent. When you think of the all-time greatest scorers in NBA history, I think he is one of the names that comes up.
26.3.
Yeah,
The average of San Antonio. 4 scoring titles.
Yeah, I think that right there proves my point. It's just
We're also looking at an insanely efficient scoring backcourt. If you have Gervin and Tony Parker, you're both 2 guards shooting 50% from the field.
right. 2 guys that are going to go to the basket on you nonstop, and you can't do anything about it.
Right. There's that. Now, we're also looking at 2 guards that can't shoot. But, yes, efficient and get into the paint and scoring. They could both. Hey, and 2 good finger rolls.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll be all right.
You got pretty much
Pop will
the
get 'em.
greatest finger roll ever, and then
Yeah.
Tony Parker was good.
So,
But yeah.
I love Ice.
Well, just one of the smoothest and most effortless looking basketball players you'd ever come across. It was elegant and smooth and just skill personified. That's what he did.
It was just fun to watch. Very talented.
And again, one of the coolest posters in NBA history.
Yeah.
Him sitting on the ice throne is just such a cool poster.
Well, in our top 50 list, all of us, I think except a mistake
Alex
by
forgot
Alex,
it.
and I think Alex, you put him on.
I put him on
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Like he was not only on all of our top 10 shooting guards, but he was kind of in the mid 5, 6, 7 range, I think, for all of us. So
Well,
you're top 5, 6, 7 shooting guard of all time. You're a badass.
Well, he was one of those ones that we said the shooting guards, besides the first couple, none of them wasn't shooting guards that didn't have championships?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we said. I mean,
stacked at the top, and then
Yeah.
it falls off a lot at the bottom.
I mean, all it took was probably one. He'd go
You got
further up.
Mike, Kobe, and D Wade all have multiple, but then you're looking at guys like Drexler who has one, and then you're looking at a whole bunch of guys that have zero.
Gervin has
Gervin,
9.
Vince, T-Mac,
Yeah.
Ray Allen. Well, I guess Ray Allen does have some, but none is the best player.
Not like,
Reggie
One
didn't have
was
one.
old, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, Reggie didn't have any. Harden doesn't have any.
Mm-hmm.
He made 3 or 4 lists.
Iverson didn't have any.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty much.
All right. Well, we're still really unanimous for the 5 of us in the room, at least.
Yeah.
So, Uncle Doug, who is your small forward?
Here's where it gets fun.
Oh boy!
I'm not getting a claw.
Here's where it gets fun.
God damn it!
Of course, your mom picked Gervin. And I gave strong consideration to Kawhi, but I went with Larry Keenan.
I thought you might go Sean Elliott.
I looked at Sean, but Kawhi's numbers were better. But Keenan averaged 20.7 points to Kawhi's 16. He averaged 10.3 rebounds to Kawhi's 6. 3 assists to Kawhi's 2.3. Kawhi did have 1.8 steals to Keenan's 1.6. But Keenan also had an 11 steal game, which I believe is still the NBA record. His personal highs, he had a 51-point game, an 11 steal game, an 11 assist game, and a 22 rebound game.
Damn.
He shot 81% from the line and 49% from the field.
Was this an ABA guy?
3. He started in the ABA and then finished. Yeah, when they came, he came over with the Spurs when they came into the NBA.
What were his NBA number? Like, was that ABA numbers or it combined?
They just listed it as Spurs numbers. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
They have it broken down in ABA and NBA, and then they have it broken down by team, but they don't have it broken down by team. Did he play for the Spurs in the NBA as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did, but they don't have it broken down.
They didn't break down as ABA, NBA, Spurs numbers.
Right, yeah.
That's the thing that I had too. They just had them as Spurs numbers. So.
Gotcha. I just didn't, because we always talk about players' stats change when they change leagues. I just didn't know if he had things changed around.
Well, in the NBA and ABA, here's his numbers. He averaged 17 points a game in both leagues. He averaged 7 rebounds in the NBA and 11 in the ABA. The rest of his numbers are all very similar.
Gotcha.
So his rebounds just go down a little bit. So it's a decent transition.
Yeah.
Sometimes we saw some very drastic.
Yeah, there were some very giant, drastic ones in there some years. And some guys stayed similar. It's really weird. Because, like, Rick Barry's production kind of stayed similar, but they were talking about, like, Dr. J's fluctuated a ton. Like, he was averaging, like, 15 rebounds a game in the NBA and then went to, like, 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I got to looking at names and stuff, I said, I remember Larry Keenan. So then I went back and watched a few of his old videos, and he's fun to watch. He's about 6'9". He can play power forward, too. He plays small or power forward.
His nickname is Special K.
Yeah. So I'm sorry I had to throw a little wrench in there.
I mean, in all reality, his numbers are better than Kawhi's in San Antonio.
So that's why I threw him in there.
All right. Well, Ray, who's your small forward?
Well, I'll go ahead and swing it over to Wade. You can go ahead and name it.
Okay. The Claw?
Yeah.
Good old Claw. Well, I mean,
Claw.
So your cat?
Well,
that could be too.
the Kawhi
Claws,
Claw.
Alex.
Well, I mean, I think Uncle Doug said his career numbers in San Antonio already. But, I mean, prime Kawhi in there, you're getting 20 to 25 points and the best perimeter defender in the NBA. So that's pretty easy.
So, yeah, the first couple years in San Antonio really bring down. He has a couple years at the end of San Antonio where it's how he is now.
Yeah, he's getting you 20 to 25. And
So that
his last 3 years in San Antonio, he's 21-6, 25-5, and then 16-4.
Well, he's hurt that year. It's like, what did he play, like 7 games or something?
Oh, yeah, it's like 9 games.
Yeah, that doesn't count. I mean, put it this way. There's 2 players in the history of the NBA to have 2 championships, 2 finals MVPs, 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards, and at least 5 All-NBAs and 7 All-Defensive teams. Kawhi Leonard.
That's a lot of stats.
Yeah. Only Kawhi Leonard and Hakeem Olajuwon have ever accomplished that. And Kawhi did almost all of it in San Antonio.
Okay.
You and Kawhi are like
Indeed.
this. I'm making I'm just.
Well, we're supposed to say how good they are.
Right.
I did it. I think an All-Star game and an All-NBA came in L.A., but like almost all that's in San Antonio. And even though his offensive production wasn't great at the beginning of his career, he was still a dominant defender from the moment he walked on the floor and developed into a top-tier offensive player and is one of the most efficient players in the entire NBA. For his career, he's close to 50, 40, 90 for his entire career. So, yeah, pretty much it.
Yeah.
Unless anybody else has something to say.
Yep. I think we've covered this pretty lengthily. We know how Wade feels about Kawhi, and we know how the rest of us feel that Kawhi never plays. So, I don't think there's a lot to argue about at this point. We've pretty much established our stances.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
We make jabs at it all the time.
It's true.
All the time.
Well, that should be our last little
Should be.
dust up. The next 2 should be pretty easy.
All right. Well, I think that's around to me for power forward. So I'll go ahead and give my power forward. Francisco Alberto. I'm just kidding. Tim
Oh,
Duncan.
man, I about had a stroke over here. What are you talking about?
Tim Duncan, who we all in this room agree is the greatest power forward of all time. So I don't think there was a lot of debate
And of
on
course,
this.
your mom agrees.
I
She has
assume
Tim
so.
as well.
We're talking about a Hall of Famer, 15-time All-Star, 15-time All-NBA, 15-time All-Defense,
Yeah.
5-time champ, All-Rookie, Rookie of the Year, 3-time Finals MVP, 2-time regular season MVP. Hey, and he has an All-Star Game MVP, kind of like Tom Chambers. And he's on the All-75
We are not.
team.
We are not comparing Tim Duncan to Tom Chambers.
One mega argument to another. We're trying to really bring up the
We're
old,
not.
the old flames.
Old Tom is nothing on old Timmy D.
He could jump higher.
No.
Yes, he could. Yes, he could. No. He said no like that.
No. Young.
Dude, give me a stop break, bro.
Tom, dig yourself a hole.
Tom don't want to smoke.
So his career numbers, only playing in San Antonio, are 19 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks on 50% shooting, 69% from the free throw line. That being said, that is not, he did play for a long time. I think he played for like 19 seasons. His prime numbers are more like 25 and 12 with 3 assists and 3 blocks. He was also a pretty remarkably consistent player. He played a lot, and until Pop started resting him, he played almost all of his games. But even when Pop was resting him, he was very consistently in the 70s usually with his games played, and was just a remarkably consistent player as well. And is in the argument for greatest defensive player of all time.
Yeah.
And like I said, we all think he's the greatest power forward of all time.
Yeah, that was a pretty easy pick.
I think it's pretty widely known he is. I don't know many people that
Not really-
argue it.
Yeah, not really people are always.
I mean, not just that all of us agree on it, but like pretty much everyone really.
there's not really
Usually
much of an
when I
argument
see
to
the
be
argument online about the people that say he's not, it's usually because they say he's a center. It's not because they don't think he's great.
right.
It's because they're like, no, he's a center.
There's really no one that can really match up with him as far as like total package. Like,
Except for Carl Anthony Towns, he's changing the game.
Oh no.
I guess. I mean, the combination of his averages and career totals and accolades are just really unmatched. The combination of those 3 are just.
Well, it's hard to find a guy that can not only win a championship, win a bunch of championships,
Yeah.
and put up ridiculous numbers for a long time.
Yep.
Like, that's a really hard combination.
On both
to find.
sides of the floor.
Yes, on both sides of
Right.
the floor, yes.
And he was incredibly consistent for like 2 decades straight. And even as he was aging and his offensive numbers and production was going down, he was still a great defender till the day he retired.
Mm-hmm.
And he was still could get you important buckets down low even as he was aging and not quite the athlete he was early in his career. People forget how athletic he was when he first came into the league before he hurt his knee.
Yeah.
He was unstoppable. He was unstoppable down low. You
No,
couldn't do anything with him. And he could actually get up and down the floor and get some dunks. Like, he dunked on people early in his career. But people don't remember that. They remember older Tim Duncan that was
he won
more
his,
on the floor and doing his
The big
post.
fundamental.
Yes.
he won his first championship
off
in
the
what,
glass.
99? Then he won his
Yeah.
last one in what, 14?
Something like that, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, he was dominant through
pretty
that whole
amazing.
time.
Never had a losing season in his entire career. Never won less than 50 games outside of the shortened season.
Made the playoffs every year of his career.
Yeah.
Has what is he? Is he have the highest winning percentage or like the most wins by a player of all time? Something like
It's
that.
got to be.
It's one of those two or
Yeah.
something goofy like that.
He has the most all defensive teams in NBA history.
Yeah. I mean, there's just not really a conversation to be had for anybody else.
It's kind of weird that he never won a defensive player of the year.
There's a few players that you look back on, like Scottie Pippen.
Yeah.
Like, they gave one to Jordan, not Scottie. Scottie was the best. Jordan was a great defender, but Jordan was the second best defender on his team.
Not at the
Then-
time, though. When
then
Jordan won
Pippen.
his, that was early in his career.
Well, that could be true. But then later on, was there a better perimeter defender in the NBA than Scottie Pippen for a while?
No, and I agree with you, but I also think the NBA was just, at that time,
Big man
defenses
oriented?
were built around big men blocking
Right.
shots.
Yeah.
So, you had Olajuwon and Mutombo and
But if you're going to
Robinson.
sneak in
and-
Gary Payton, I feel like Scottie deserved that spot before Gary Payton. I mean, I'm not trying to even discredit Gary Payton because Gary Payton's maybe the greatest defensive point guard ever. But I just think Scottie, I don't know, I think Scottie was a bigger and more versatile defender than Gary. And I don't know. I think Scottie Pippen's in the conversation for greatest perimeter defender ever. And to not have a defensive player of the year is just kind of unfortunate. Then Tim Duncan's obviously on that list, and we're probably forgetting a couple more, to be honest. Probably that rascal Elton Brand.
Oh, no. Big old EB.
I don't even think he ever made an offensive team. No, I'm just joking.
Real question, though, Wade.
Yeah.
Who do you like better, Kawhi or Elton Brand?
Elton Brand.
That was quick.
Because Vince and Elton Brand are Wade's OGs.
Indeed.
But Kawhi, I think we pushed Wade towards that.
Yeah.
I don't think
like
it was
Kawhi.
really like he was like, "Oh my God, I'm this huge Kawhi fan." It was more like, I gotta stick to my guns because these guys keep trashing Kawhi.
I mean, I like Kawhi going into the top 50 guy. He was one of my, wasn't like my favorite player in the NBA, but he was one of my favorite players. But Kevin Durant's probably my favorite player now. That him and Kawhi. And John, I can't really say John Wall because he hasn't really played in like a half a decade.
Poor John.
I used to really like John Wall, but yeah.
All right, well, Drew, would you like to tell us your center?
Yeah.
Go and spit it out.
If you don't say the right one, your aunt will disown you.
I know. Sure, got mad at me once for talking trash on this guy, I guess, in his episode.
We were kind of hard on him in his episode.
Yeah.
David Robinson, the Admiral.
The Admiral.
Yeah, bro, another cool nickname.
Yeah, I got a text message that day saying I was hating on him too much.
It was kind of a shitting. You guys, everyone just kind of shat on him and then just piled on. I don't really remember why.
We were talking about later on in his career when they won the
Yeah.
championship. He wasn't very good anymore.
I mean, that's really David Robinson is an all-time great center because in his prime, he could do everything any other all-time great center could do. I mean, his production levels in his prime were phenomenal, but his prime itself didn't last as long as other people.
Because he went to the military.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's his downfall.
His other big problem is the second best player on his team for a big portion of his career was Sean Elliott.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he still carried them to some playoff runs.
I think he went to like a couple Western Conference Finals.
He lost to Olajuwon.
Oh, yeah, lost to Olajuwon, yeah.
I mean,
But we're talking about a Hall of Famer. He's a 10-time All-Star, 10-time All-NBA, 8-time All-Defense. He won a Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and MVP. He's a 2-time champ. He's a block champ. He's a scoring champ. He's a rebound champ.
He's got all the accolades.
Crazy part is, you just listed all that, and all of us had him as like our 7th or 8th center of all time. Like, that's pretty nuts.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, maybe like 6th, but like I
He
don't
didn't
think
get
he was.
higher than
I
that.
don't think he was ever higher than like 6th or 7th on any of our lists. That's nuts.
Yeah, because I mean, you're thinking obviously Jabbar and Olajuwon, and most of us had Russell and Wilt up there. Shaq.
Yeah.
There's 5 right there.
Yeah.
Moses.
And then you're debating him with guys like Moses,
There's 6, and you have like Robinson and
then Ewing.
Ewing
and-
was usually right below all
Willis
them.
Reed.
Yeah.
Willis Reed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you guys had Mikan.
Dwight.
He had Embiid.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Dwight.
And
I mean, now Jokic is in that conversation.
He is. He is.
It
Very
really
much
is.
so.
2 MVPs and a finals MVP.
But I'll just say this: Robinson did come in with a bang. His rookie season, he averaged 24 and 12 with 4 blocks.
yeah.
Yeah, his defense was nasty. He was so athletic.
yeah.
So for the first 7 years of his career, his numbers are 25 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, almost 2 steals, 3.5 blocks, on 52% shooting, and 74% from the free throw line.
That's
That's
crazy.
a 7-year period. Anybody doing that for 7 years in a big man league. He was doing this against like 5 all-time greats, also playing the same league as him.
Yeah.
He's doing it against Shaq. He's doing it against Olajuwon, against Ewing, against Mutombo.
Morning.
Yeah, against Alonzo Mourning. Those are just centers. We also have all-time great power forwards in the league at that time with Barkley and Malone. I do believe him by this time, by the end of this run, we're also adding C-Web to the mix.
Right. Forgetting about the most important one, Charles Oakley.
Oh, yeah.
I got your back, Ray.
That's right.
Thank you.
Got your back.
Well,
I had to throw that out there.
It's not my what if for the night, but a big what if would be, what if he didn't grow like 7 inches when he's in the Navy?
Yeah.
Because he went to the Naval Academy and he was going to be in the submarine.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah,
And
Give
he
me in
was
Submarine
like-
7.
Like 6'5" or something, and he grew like 7 inches.
that'd be
And they're
crazy.
like, no, you can't be in a submarine anymore.
even at
You
6,
can't even be in most ships at that height.
So even at
They have the
6'5".
Navy has a height.
6'5" still pretty
Yeah, I feel
tall.
like 6'5" would be problems.
Oh yeah,
7
you can't
foot.
get through most of the doorways.
Or lay on your
You
bed.
don't say those little bunk beds they have him lay in. Like
Yeah.
He'd be laying.
his knees would be dangling off. Like
So-
it'd
Yeah.
Drastically changed his life.
be- I'd say so.
I don't think I said this, so I just want to run through it. His overall career numbers, all in San Antonio, are 21 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.5 steals, 3 blocks on 51% shooting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very amazing.
and he got the 2 titles later on with Duncan.
When he finally got help.
Yeah,
I mean, he was still a formidable, nice player in the first run.
He was still.
Oh, yeah.
He was still really good on defense. And
Yeah.
a quality rebounder and
It's
scorer.
the second
Oh,
one
yeah.
where we really went.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was his last year in the league, right?
I believe it
Yeah, he
was.
retired after that, and his numbers that year are 8 and 8.
Well, it's kind of nice how it worked out because he carried these bad or okay rosters to this tremendous amount of success with him doing everything. And then once he starts to physically break down, they draft the greatest power forward to ever play, and then he finally gets over the hump with his help, and it was kind of nice to watch.
Yeah,
It was.
It's a good story.
It's nice one of those players you finally get to see that's by himself.
Because he was really
Right.
doing a lot by himself. I mean, like Alex said earlier, I mean, Sean Elliott was a quality player, but we're not talking about a first ballot Hall of
Right.
Famer.
Yeah,
We're talking
wasn't-
about a decent player. And then like Avery Johnson
Yeah.
at point guard.
Avery Johnson, yeah.
I mean, like it's just
And Vinny Del Negro.
yeah.
Sean Elliott's Spurs numbers are 14 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists on 46% shooting.
So that's his second best player. Which,
Avery Johnson was 10 points, 2 rebounds, and 7 assists.
yeah.
So that's the big 3 in San Antonio.
That's the big 3 right there.
So yeah, it really was nice to see him get a bunch of help and contribute to a couple of championship teams after he carried the franchise for a decade plus with his utter dominance. And talking about a center that was an athletic freak of nature. Dear God.
By the way, I do want to point this out, though. just in our theme of drafts, Sean Elliott was drafted 3rd overall by the Spurs. Okay,
Wow.
the very next pick in the draft was Glenn Rice. So he could have been playing with Glenn Rice for a nice amount of time, which would have been a nice upgrade over Sean Elliott.
Hey, Glenn Rice was a baller.
Yeah, he was a baller. Tim Hardaway went a little bit later. Sean Kemp went a couple picks after that.
Ooh, that would have been crazy.
Yeah.
I think any of those guys would have been very nice additions to David Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the more I think about it, the more I think Tim Hardaway would have just been a really awesome addition to David Robinson.
But then they probably won't get Duncan then later on if that stuff happens.
You're probably right. The reason they're able to get Duncan is because Robinson misses an entire season with injury.
And they're terrible.
Yes.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
I mean, your best player for the last 8 years can't carry you anymore.
Yeah. Then you're getting led by a guy with a career average of 14-4. Yeah. But yeah.
So we've got 4 unanimous.
Yeah, Duncan, Robinson, Parker, and Gervin.
Yeah.
So we're really arguing Manu, Keenan, and Kawhi.
Well, you got to remember, Manu is your mom's pick, not ours.
Oh, yeah, so we're really just arguing Keenan and Kawhi.
Right, which I will give in to Wade. But
I
I thought Larry Keenan deserved the discussion.
No, yeah,
man,
Still holds.
Although
the
you gave up
steal.
too early, I was going to come off and come to Keenan. I was going to make this interesting and see how Wade reacted.
You do that, and as soon as the tournament starts, I'm fucking with the Magic so hard.
I wouldn't do that.
First round next.
Who's getting hurt?
T-Mac pulls out his knee. Let's go. I'm just joking.
When your mom got 4 for 5 on. The only one she missed on was Manu. We didn't put that on for her, but
By the way, since she did bring him up, we probably should go over Manu's numbers and stuff real quick.
Yeah.
He's a Hall of Famer. He's a 2-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA, 4-time NBA champ. He won 6th Man of the Year. He was on an All-Rookie team. His career numbers are 13 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal on 44% from the field and 37% from 3, 82 from the free throw line. He did have some nice seasons in the middle. He never scored 20 points a game, but he did get to 19 one year.
What did you say his All-Stars and All-NBAs were?
2 and 2, I believe.
He made 2 All-NBA teams?
He did, yes.
Really? Intriguing. Okay.
I can pull up the years in just a second.
I could maybe see an All-Star team or two. All-NBA is a whole other animal.
Indeed, it is.
I'm kind of intrigued who he beat out those years. Not that we probably need to do a Manu deep dive here.
No, but I mean, this is a Spurs Hall of Famer, so I mean, it's not like it's ridiculous to talk about him.
No, you're right. It's just
He's just
such a turd.
all right. In 07-08, he made 3rd team All NBA.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to get him pulled up here if they'll let me do it. Will somebody pull up his years so I don't have to try and go back and forth here?
Yeah, I can try.
Yep. I got his years pulled up.
So what is his numbers in 07-08?
7-08. 19 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists.
19-4-4.
I mean, that's not a terrible year. That's a pretty decent year.
That's his best year, though.
And then 10-11.
10-11. Oh, shit. No, we don't want that. 17, 4 assists, 3 rebounds.
So a 19-4-4 and a 17-4-3.
Yeah.
And he's like the 3rd best shooting guard in the league those years. Intriguing.
I wonder.
I call bullshit.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm kind of wondering.
I don't know who was doing what those years though.
08-09 NBA.
You have Kobe.
Dwayne Wade's in.
Dwayne Wade led the league in led the league in points per game that year.
Well,
Okay.
Kobe, D Wade are 1 and 2.
Okay, well, we got those knocked out.
Yeah.
What other shooting guards are?
Who are we forgetting here? Oh, T-Mac, Vince, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen. None of them.
I think T-Mac's pretty run down at that point.
Paul Pierce, small forward.
That could be.
Yeah, he's probably
Carmelo, small forward.
Ray Allen,
Yeah.
though.
Ray Allen be a shooting guard, yeah.
Yeah.
But it began to be towards the end of his.
Yeah.
Still feel like we're forgetting.
I mean, we got to be forgetting someone. I just can't think of the top of my head at the moment.
I'm trying to just pull up the All-NBA team. Here we go. All-NBA, first team. Kobe and D-Wade both made first team at both guard spots.
Okay.
Then the guard spots on the second team are Chris Paul and Brandon Roy. And then the third team, it says Tony Parker and Chauncey Billups.
How did Shaq make an All NBA team?
What year are you talking about?
08, 09?
Is that his Phoenix Suns year? He has a breakout year again with Phoenix at one
I
point.
don't know,
After
but
he leaves Miami.
I'm so confused
I
now.
shouldn't say breakout. He kind of
Which year did you say
Had
he
a
was All
decent
NBA?
year.
I thought it was 08, 09, and 10, 11.
Well, you had me look up the 07, 08 year.
Oh, I clicked on the wrong year.
That was his 19, 4 and 4 year, his best year.
Okay, so I just clicked the wrong 08.
So.
So I got to
Shaq, wow, that one.
click back a year and then try this again. All right, first team is Kobe and Chris Paul. Second team is Nash and Darren Williams. Third team is Ginobili and Tracy McGrady. So Dwayne Wade didn't make an All-NBA team that year.
D Wade hurt. I'm looking up D Wade.
That could be. We gotta be forgetting about at least one or two big time guards. I just can't think off the top of my head and racking my brain here and I can't think.
Just 07,
I don't know.
08. He played. Oh, he only played 51 games, and he averaged 24, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals.
Ray Allen made an All-Star team. So did Richard Hamilton. So did Joe Johnson.
Ray Allen.
Oh, Joe Johnson, that's a good one. Joe Johnson was like a 25-5 machine for like a decade.
Brandon Roy made the All-Star team.
Ray Allen had 17, 3 and 3 that year.
Pretty much equivalent to
What did Joe
Monty.
Johnson do?
Joe Johnson.
Hmm.
07, 08. Played all 82 games. 21 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, a steal.
Yeah. I think
It's better than mine.
I think Wade's right. A little BS going on there.
Again, Ginobili, but this was the
That
year
little Spurs love is what it got.
they won another finals.
Right, yeah.
And this was his best year of his career. He almost averaged 20 points a game.
Yeah, 19-4-4.
And like Wade said, he was very exciting, flashy.
Yeah.
He was dramatic.
I've never thought Manu was a bad player.
No.
He's always gotten a little
Too much love.
Too much love.
He's considered a great Hall of Fame player when he's like an all-time great six man. Like
Yeah.
he's not an all-time great shooting guard. He's an all-time great six man.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, to get back to it, our all-time starting five for the San Antonio Spurs is Tony Parker, George Gervin, Kawhi Leonard, Tim Duncan, and David Robinson. So, real quick, where do you think this team falls in the Western Conference?
Top 4 in the West.
I think it's one of the better West teams. Yes,
their defense is going to be,
especially small forward through center.
That's what I'm saying. You got
You
2
shitting
big
me?
guys, and then Kawhi to guard the perimeter guys.
Okay, so let me ask you about this matchup. Houston and the Spurs.
Oof.
Well, we watched David Robinson and Olajuwon play each other. It's going to be Moses and Tim Duncan. That's going to be fun.
I think Houston has more talent.
It was T-Mac, Harden, and
Drexler.
Drexler, Moses, and Olajuwon.
Oh, yeah. I had
It'll
to
be-
go with Houston on that.
yeah, I think Harden would tear Tony Parker a new one.
Yeah.
T-Mac and Gervin. It's not quite T-Mac's prime, is it? He's still really good, but it's not his magic
Let's
days.
look at his Houston.
And
numbers
Actually,
real
we've
quick.
got Clyde at 2 and T-Mac at 3.
Oh, okay. Well, Gervin's definitely beating Clyde because that's older Clyde.
That is old Clyde, yeah.
And Gervin's gonna put up 32 points a game.
Houston T-Mac is 22-5-5.
Okay, so yeah. So then we're gonna have T-Mac and Kawhi.
Yeah.
Well, at that point, young Kawhi could probably.
Young Kawhi is, definitely a beast defensively.
And prime Kawhi in San Antonio, you're still getting 20-plus points as well.
Then you got Moses and Duncan and Elijah and Robinson.
Oh, that's so nasty.
It is.
fun game to watch,
It's
wouldn't
so
it?
crazy to think about that.
It's basically just giving.
I'd give a slight edge to Duncan and then a slight edge to Olajuwon.
Yeah.
That's about how it went.
Well, I mean, by what we just went through, the Spurs won 3 of the positions. Spurs won shooting guard, small forward, and power forward. So but I guess it depends on how big a difference is Harden versus Tony. Or how much of a difference is Olajuwon.
Are we saying this is the playoffs? Because if we are, I know how Alex is going to feel about this.
Yeah, I was saying, you got to take into account.
Maybe we should have went with
It's
Ray
the
and Steve Francis
playoffs.
pick.
Yeah.
But if we're going by just regular games.
Maybe I underestimated the Spurs. Maybe the Spurs are the pick.
Okay,
there.
so let's change it up here. Spurs Golden State.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Ooh, Robinson and
You
Wilt and
Yeah,
does
Robinson
Wilt
and
do-
Wilt. That's an interesting
Okay, how
one.
does Wilt do with someone
as
close to his height and someone maybe more athletic than him?
Yeah, and
They're-
also very strong.
Yeah.
Wilt ain't pushing Robinson nowhere. He's
No.
no, he's not going to be bully him.
and Robinson, say what you will, Wilt was a tremendous athlete and got up and down the floor, but so did David Robinson.
Yeah.
David Robinson is like Dwight Howard with more coordination. Like, that's what David Robinson is.
That would be a battle.
And a couple inches taller.
And then you're talking about Duncan and Thurman, where Duncan has the advantage there. Thurman's a
Yes.
very nice player, but Duncan is a superior player there.
Overall, he's more offensive production.
What? We
Yes.
have, and then what?
And you got Rick Barry and Kawhi.
Oh, boy.
That's small.
Can Rick Barry score a ton of Kawhi?
Oh, no.
I'm asking the question. I didn't declare it.
Who's our shooting guard?
Clay.
Clay.
Clay
I
and
think
Gervin.
Gervin's gonna get Clay a little bit.
Yeah, I think you have to put Kawhi on Barry because Barry's a guy that can just take over games and win them for you.
Right.
If you put him on Clay, yeah, you take away Clay's shooting, but Clay's not going to take over games.
You can, Clay's gonna be just hanging out in the perimeter. You can have one of your lesser defenders. It'll still be hard. I mean, all these players are great, but
Right.
you just gotta run them off 3-point line. We gotta do.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clay and Gervin are going to go at each other. And
With Rick could score at all 3 levels,
Yeah.
but I just athletically can he consistently get open on Kawhi would be my big thing.
And then we have,
this would be another
and then
great game.
Tony guarding Steph.
Well, Steph is going to kill Tony more than likely. Well, maybe I shouldn't say kill, but he's obviously better than Tony Parker.
Yeah, he's definitely going to outscore Tony.
Yes, he is. But Tony Parker might run right past Steph Curry because, I mean, we talked about how no one stopped Tony from getting to the paint anyway, and Steph Curry's not a great defender.
Yeah.
But if you've got Wilt and Nate Thurman waiting inside.
You are correct in that. Yes, you are correct. But, I mean, Tony did specialize in scoring over big people.
What's his
He
thing?
would score probably more than what we thought he would.
He would probably do his normal production of 18 and 6, probably.
Yeah.
He would get his. I don't know. Okay, I gotta do this position thing again.
Well, Warriors won. Steph's probably going to beat Tony.
Correct.
And then what?
Clay and Gervin.
Gervin beat Clay.
I mean, Clay's definitely a superior defender, but Gervin's also the superior offensive player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd give the edge to Gervin a little bit. Isn't Gervin a lot taller and longer than Clay?
Yeah, I think they're the same heights,
both
both
about
6'7".
Oh, okay.
Yes,
I was
yeah.
thinking Clay's shorter than that. I got you.
Well, I think Clay's going to score from the outside and Gervin's going to drive to the basket.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's-
But at least
they both
the Warriors
specialize.
have Clay before he gets hurt too.
Right.
Oh yeah.
They'll at least have defensive Clay, not Clay now.
Yeah, not whiny Clay.
Touche, touche.
I mean, I'm a big Clay supporter. I loved Clay before the injury. And I'm not happy with Clay post-injury.
I'm gonna say the biggest difference in this game is going to be who do you like better, the point guard matchup for the Warriors or the power forward matchup for the Spurs?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that's the biggest.
Mm-hmm.
Taking advantage of their spots.
Yeah. I don't know. The one that's really getting me is I don't know how big a difference there is between Wilt and Robinson. I don't know how to go about that.
I think they're pretty equal.
But
Because
think
Wilt, I don't think
Duncan's got a big advantage. I mean, Nate Thurman's a good player, but I think Duncan,
But there's levels to the Hall of Fame, and they're not in the same level.
right, exactly.
But Wilt's going to think he can outpower David Robinson. No, he's not. They're going to be the
That's what I'm
same
saying.
height, same build. They're
David Robinson is a brick shithouse.
Yeah.
You ain't
saying. Wilt's
not many
going to.
people move David Robinson.
Wilt would have think he couldn't know.
And
David
Wilt couldn't get up and down the floor and beat Robinson up and down the floor because Robinson was an athletic freak. So, I mean, I'm not saying Robinson's going to kill Wilt or anything, but I think it'd be much more even than when first people.
I think it's going to be a pretty even match.
When people like first look at it, you're like, oh, the guy that averaged 50 points in a season and 25 rebounds is going to win. But if you really break it down and like compare them physically and their ability, I don't think there's a huge difference there.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, well, I think that's enough comparisons for this one. So that will end our Spurs portion of this episode and send us into a what-if scenario provided by Uncle Doug.
Yeah, well, since you guys had all been doing the draft, I decided to do a draft one as well.
Okay.
So here's my scenario. We've talked about winning time during our podcast before, and so what if the Lakers drafted Sidney Moncrief instead of Magic?
Ooh. What year is this draft?
79.
So we're operating under the assumption the Lakers still have the first pick,
Yep.
and they take Moncrief.
Right. Who went number 5 to Milwaukee.
So are we out? Okay. All right. I'm interested.
So then obviously Chicago's going to grab Magic.
Yeah.
The Knicks are probably going to stick with Cartwright. I think they wanted the center. Detroit's probably going to stick with Greg Kelser because he was Magic's running mate at Michigan State, and they wanted him because the hometown guy. So then you're sliding Magic down to possibly Milwaukee.
No, you said Magic went to
No,
Chicago.
sorry, Greenwood down to Milwaukee.
Either that or they could, take one of the good players that went after that, like Vinnie Johnson or Cliff Robinson
Right.
or Jim Paxson.
So, but the main difference is going to be, of course, L.A. and Chicago.
I mean, there's some giant repercussions here, too, because I want to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but that also probably makes it so Chicago can't draft Mike.
Oh, yeah, probably
So,
true.
I mean,
Probably very true.
to go to somewhere else. So
Yeah.
that probably means Trailblazers, maybe.
Well, they're probably still going to pick Bowie.
So who would? So
Yeah,
it all
they're
depends
still
on
gonna-
who's going to be number 3.
Or who's going to take the Bulls' spot in that draft?
Yeah,
right.
Who would be bad enough to be the second pick with the Bulls?
What year
having
draft is that?
Magic?
I'll pull up that draft.
His rookie year is 84, right?
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
Okay, but let's talk about the Lakers for a second while Drew's looking that
Yeah.
up. And so you're looking at Moncrief coming in and playing the 2, and Norm Nixon continues to play the point.
Right, yeah.
And Norm Nixon is a quality point
Yeah,
guard.
he
That's
is.
actually pretty good.
Yeah, Norm Nixon was good.
was
Storm
pretty
and Norman could play.
Could they have won the finals with Sidney Moncrief that year though? Because Magic went ahead and could they have won?
Sidney Moncrief was a really good player.
He was.
He does not have Magic's skill set.
Well, he couldn't have played center.
I
in
mean,
Game
they're
6.
completely different players.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
One's an
Yeah.
all-time great defender. One's the greatest passer of all time. I mean,
Yeah.
well, they both had similar scoring productions in their prime. But I think with Moncrief on the team, I do think there would be some championship potential. But they're obviously not going to have to the extent that they did with Magic. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But I think before Moncrief's career is derailed with injuries, I mean, you have Norm and Moncrief, and then Worthy comes in a little later, and you still have the best player in the NBA. Kareem is the best player in basketball at that
the
point.
start. Right.
He's the MVP of the league, I think, that year or the next year or something like that. Like, so I don't know. Was Moncrief super good right off the bat?
No.
Or It took a bit.
Took about his third year before he
Okay.
got good.
So, but so then is that around the time Worthy's coming in?
Probably.
The 81, 82. When did Worthy come in?
Imagine that defense. You're gonna have Norm and Moncrief. Cooper's there somewhere. Who
Yeah,
was an
Michael
all-time
Cooper's there.
great defender. Plus, you have athletic as hell Worthy coming in, and you still got Jabbar. That perimeter defense, if you have Moncrief and Cooper coming off the bench as like the sixth man, and then Norm, who I think was okay.
Oh yeah.
Like you have Cooper and Moncrief on the same team. That is nasty.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. I really like Sidney Moncrief. I've brought Sidney Moncrief up quite a few times in this podcast. So I'm not trying to discredit him. But I don't think that it's blasphemy to say that he's not Magic fucking Johnson.
Right.
No, because we all agree
Like,
Magic Johnson is the greatest point guard of all time.
Right. So
On Magic.
I do think the team is worse.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think the Lakers are still really good.
Yes.
I don't know if they
I
get
think the
5
Lakers.
titles.
Yes, that's what you're going to say.
Yeah.
They don't win 5 titles.
They
I would
get-
almost guarantee it because, especially
The
when
later
Jabbar
ones.
falls off, Moncrief doesn't take over the league.
No. Then it
Like-
would be up to Worthy. Worthy would have to do it.
Right.
Worthy and Byron Scott, because Byron Scott would have been coming in at that point.
Worthy would have to do a little more than what he did. A little.
Yes, he would.
He'd have to step up a little bit.
I'm going to say that I'm looking at the Lakers as more of like they win.
I think 1 or 2.
Yeah, I'll say
Yeah,
1 or 2
1 or
titles
2.
in the
Right.
80s. Definitely not 5. Definitely not 4.
1 or
The
2.
Very most, I would say 3. But I don't think they would get this first one
No.
because Moncrief was
No.
not very good.
They're not going to get that first
get-
one.
They
Later
get
when
the-
they have Worthy
get the
and,
two-
and Moncrief's in his prime.
They get the 2
Yeah.
middle ones.
Yeah, I would say
Yeah,
that. They probably
probably
get
the
the
two
They
two
don't
middle
get.
ones.
They don't get the first one. And they don't get the late ones.
Yeah.
So who'd
The 3 in the middle,
they
Maybe.
play? Who'd they play in the 80 finals?
76.
76ers.
Oh yeah, you're right. So do the Sixers does Doc get one by himself?
He may.
That alters his legacy a lot.
It does. It alters his legacy.
So he ends up with 2.
Or who?
And he has one as the best player. That's
Yeah.
the important part.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the Or is it?
And who they get the last one over?
Pistons. So the Pistons get another one. They 3-peat.
Yeah, the Pistons probably get a third one.
Well,
Well, on the Eastern Conference side, by that point, you've got to think, what is Magic going to do to Chicago?
That is true.
Magic gets hurt close to this draft too. That next year after, remember?
Right, but we're talking about the last title.
I know.
So
But I'm saying Michael will be somewhere else,
right,
so
but-
we don't know.
Where,
trying
what
to
does
think-
Chicago? What does Chicago have at this point?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Like when Mike's drafted.
No, when Magic would be drafted.
Well, I know just a few years later when Mike's drafted, they have nothing. So I can't imagine they're rocking too much. Right?
Dallas is the number 4 pick after.
Do you think they'd
Chicago.
slide in and get Mike?
Well, it depends on how good Chicago is. Because honestly, if Magic gets hurt a year, if it's the right, it'd be a couple years after he got hurt is when this draft happened. So
Magic gets hurt in what, 80 or 81?
81,
81.
So
Yeah.
Mike doesn't come in late till like 84.
84 draft, yeah.
Right.
So
But who did the Bulls have when they drafted Greenwood?
I'm looking. All right, Magic's rookie year, the Bulls were consisted of Kobe Dietrich, Artis Gilmore,
Okay.
Dwight Jones, Larry Keenan, who we just talked about last
There we
week,
go.
Ronnie Lester, Ollie Mack, Scott May. Scott May, that's
He played for Indiana when they won their national title, I believe.
right, and that's what's his name's dad from North Carolina.
Sean May?
Sean May's dad.
Right, yeah.
Ricky Sobers, Reggie Theus,
Oh, Theus was good. He played for UNLV.
Bob Wilkerson, James Wilkes, and Sam Worthen.
we had a few decent players on there.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
look and see where is Gilmore at in his career at this point.
He's probably getting pretty late.
We're looking at we're about the halfway point of his career.
Hmm.
70,
But if
79.
you've got Gilmore at center, and you're going to run Theus probably at shooting guard and Magic at the point. I'm trying to think who else was in that group.
Take Keenan.
Keenan can play power or small forward.
I think those were mainly the notable players we listed, I think. Well, that doesn't sound like a bad team by any means.
No.
Now, to be honest with
Quality
you,
guys on there.
to be honest with you, This team would probably be pretty good right there off the bat.
Right.
Magic, Theus, Keenan, Gilmore, and then somebody else. I don't know that they necessarily win the title his rookie year, but they're probably pretty good.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is also the beginning of Reggie Theus' career, so they would have played together for a long time.
That would have been a big backcourt because Theus was like 6'7" too, I think.
Yeah.
But he was obviously a shooting guard. He was a scorer.
Yeah. I mean,
Scott May would have been the other one probably. He probably would have played power forward.
okay, so let me ask you
Keenan was
this.
small.
What does that do to the rivalry having them in the same conference?
Oh, him and Bird?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bird and Magic now
They
play.
play all the time.
Oh, they're just going to fight it out in the Eastern Conference Finals
yeah.
all the time. Yeah. Really, constantly, probably. I mean, obviously, depending on what happens with the rest of Magic's roster as time goes on. Obviously, we know how Birds plays out. Yeah, they're just going to battle it out constantly to get to the finals instead of trying to meet each other in the finals. So they're going to play a lot more often in the playoff. So we're going to get a lot more Bird Magic action.
Yeah,
which
the NBA would love
at that time. Yeah, I mean,
they saved the NBA as it was.
Right.
Yeah, they started.
I mean, them together would have been. It just would have been in the Eastern Conference Finals instead of the championships.
And they would have played more in the regular season and everything. So, in a way, it might have been better for the NBA.
Yeah.
The only downside I see is the Eastern Conference. The NBA Finals has the potential to be anticlimactic for a while.
Every year.
Or the East is going to win.
Right.
Like the two best players in the NBA are both playing the East, and they both are coming out of the East every year.
So then does Mike end up out west?
Well, like I said, Dallas would have slid into the number 2 spot.
Dallas might.
Does he end up in Dallas?
Do you get him and Mark
which
Aguirre?
Which at that time is kind of a franchise that doesn't really have doesn't really know what the hell it's doing. Dallas was. They brought in some superstars, but they always got rid of them, and nobody was ever happy there. Now to say that, Chicago wasn't really a destination either when Mike got there. So
here also number 5 was Philly. Because Michael went to the 76ers instead of Charles.
So then you get young MJ helping out older Moses and Dr. J and Maurice Cheeks and all them.
Ooh, that could be pretty nasty too.
Because Dr. J
coming off a championship.
Yeah, Moses is still pretty damn good for a few years, and Dr. J was still decent.
I mean, he could hide behind Michael.
Oh yeah, at that point, Dr. J's can take a large seat backwards, and Cheeks. Wasn't Maurice Cheeks there?
Yeah, Mo Cheeks.
Yeah,
and he was good.
He was a solid point.
Michael ended up at 76er.
Isn't there a big Hall of Fame 76 player that was playing with those guys?
Hey, Jones. Bobby Jones.
Bobby Jones.
Keep in the microphone, sorry.
I guess go back to Dallas real quick. Are we in agreement that we think Mike could turn the Dallas franchise around like he did Chicago's?
It'd probably be the same thing. He'd make them better, and he's going to tear it up. But they want to have real success unless he had a running mate.
They're either going to get him a running mate or Mike's going to leave.
Well, when does Mark Aguirre get there? That's the question. You get him and Mark Aguirre, ain't nobody stopping them from scoring.
Yeah, so they're going to put up some big points.
Yes, they are. Because if Aguirre's there, that's
deadly.
That's nasty. That's offensive nastiness.
Aguirre gets to Dallas in 81.
So he is there.
So he would have already been there.
So he's established himself.
So if you can get them.
Mike's
players.
rookie year, Aguirre averages 29.
Well, doesn't Mike average like 30 in his rookie season?
Yeah, something like that.
Or something crazy like 28.
And if the West doesn't have Magic,
so we're
him
talking...
against Portland and Olajuwon on the Rockets.
Is there any other mid 80s Western powerhouse?
The Nuggets. The Nuggets would have.
Well, the Samson Olajuwon Rockets were good for a few years.
They made a
Yeah.
finals, didn't they? Or
Yeah.
two?
Yeah, Sampson hit the game winner in the Western Conference Finals.
Right.
They lose to Bird one year, don't they?
And of course,
Yeah.
Robinson's
Yeah.
Spurs were not bad.
So here,
Portland.
let's look at the '84
Portland actually
Mavericks for a
nice
second.
run.
You have Mark Aguirre, Rolando Blackman,
Oh,
Dale Ellis, Derek Harper. There's some really nice players
There's some
on this
talent
team.
there.
And you
Yeah.
put Michael Jordan.
so are the Mavericks a dynasty? Dare I say?
Because people
My
aren't going to
God.
be leaving Mike if they're winning.
And this is young Michael. This is before the 90s.
Yeah, this is
What year,
him.
what year you say this was,
This
Alex?
84.
So his rookie year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
They might be killing bitches. I ain't
so
gonna
could
lie.
Mike have 4 or 5 titles before the 90s? He'd have to beat Larry and Magic.
I don't know.
Oh, you have
I don't
4
know
or
about
5.
that many.
He might squeeze one out or two.
What a wild
It'd be a
landscape.
tough competition. I mean, it'd be tough. And the more I think about it, I don't know,
Because I think if you take Magic off of the Lakers and then put him on Chicago, I think the best team in the 80s is the Celtics.
Mhm.
So I think things run through them for the most part. Because we made the Lakers worse. The Bulls are better, but they're not on the Lakers level.
Yeah.
You know what
Well-
I mean? He doesn't have the Jabbar running mate.
But the thing is, Jordan comes in '84. The Celtics dynasty is over at what 86.
After 86, yeah.
So the Mavericks could swoop on in there.
He's
'Cause,
got to beat the
Bird back is
Pistons.
gone. Mikhail's
can't-
feet are done.
Can he beat the
He's got to beat the
Pistons?
Pistons with
But
these
here's the
Mavericks.
thing, though. Does Aguirre force his way out of Dallas to go to Detroit if he's playing with Mike?
Yeah.
Again, winning solves everything. Most
But
of
at the
time.
same time, can Aguirre and Jordan get along? Because they're both ball-dominant players. And you're also talking about a point guard, 2 shooting guards, and 2 small forwards. They have no big men.
There was always some goofy 7-footer.
They can find some goofy, yeah. Like we talked about before, when teams like start showing that they're winning, they can pick up.
I mean, that's what when Jordan was winning championships, they didn't have dominant centers. They just had goofy guys go out there and pick up fouls. I mean, Cartwright was a quality player early in his career, but he didn't do anything with Chicago.
Luke Longley.
Yeah, Will Purdue, shit like that.
Yeah, Will Purdue.
I don't know. It's very interesting to try and go back and forth on that.
Well, let's look at 85, the next year. Okay.
Hmm.
Dallas takes Detlef Schrempf at that point.
Hmm.
But there's also the very next pick is Charles Oakley.
My man.
Ed Pinckney from Villanova was good. Keith Lee from Memphis was good. Karl Malone was number 13.
I mean, he could get.
So Dallas, if they needed a big man instead of Detlef Schrempf, could have taken one of those guys.
But if they have Mike, are they picking that high?
That's true.
What would
They
you
may
say
not be
Carmelo
quite-
went to?
13.
He's number 13, and Dallas
There's
is
a chance.
picking 8. So,
So
they
go
could've
ahead,
dropped-
Aguirre, leave. Then it's Michael Jordan, Karl Malone.
So yeah, what
And
happens
Blackman.
if they fall?
Blackman was good.
Karl
Karl
Malone's
Malone
narrative.
falls to Dallas, and you've got Carl and Mike, and holy cow!
Boy.
Yeah.
I mean, that you said that was 85.
Yeah,
So that's just 1 year after Jordan. So I mean, maybe during his rookie year they're not great yet. They have, they got to get their shit together, and then they, get a top half draft pick, and maybe
so
they
you've
get
got Karl Malone, Mark Aguirre, and Michael Jordan.
Wasn't Blackman there?
Yeah,
Well, here's the other thing. We're skipping. We keep skipping over Dale Ellis. Dale Ellis is a
yeah.
career 40% 3-point shooter,
right.
Yeah.
and catching, getting left open because everybody's double teaming Mike seems like a
And
shooter's
Aguirre.
holiday.
Yeah,
Malone.
I mean,
Definitely a lot of-
Dallas could become a dynasty.
That's freaking crazy.
There is
to
a
even
very
think
interesting
about.
scenario there. Yes.
I don't know how they end up with them, but I clicked to the next year to 85, and Sam Perkins plays for Dallas.
There you
There's
go.
the big man.
There's
Yeah.
there's
No,
power
that's who
forward
they
out
draft.
there.
No, that's who they get. So, wait, which year is that?
85.
I think that's who they would have. That's who they picked after Michael.
Dallas Mavericks
said they got
select
Dallas
him
Shrimp.
4th overall in the 84
I was-
draft.
Didn't he
Yeah.
say they drafted
I was talking about
Shrimp?
85. 85 is when they take Shrimp.
Yeah, this is the pick before because
This is after Michael.
Yeah,
They
this,
got
this is the draft after Michael. So we skipped one in between there because Michael goes in the '83 draft.
Oh,
but
Mike's
he's
in the
but
83
he
draft.
plays a season in '84.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Gotcha.
I was looking at the 85 because I was thinking 1 year after.
Yeah,
Okay, so 1 year after, if they'd have got Perkins, there's their big man too.
yeah.
We got to think Jordan misses almost his entire second year of his career because he breaks his foot. So the team will get worse that year, and then they'll might get a good draft pick, and then
All
he'll
right.
come back.
So
Hold
they
on.
could get
We
Carmelo.
we fucked this all
I
up.
told you Sam Perkins was.
Sam Perkins went in the same draft as Jordan.
Yes.
Okay.
So they
There
get
we-
Karl Malone.
They can get
Yeah, so
Carmelo.
Uncle Doug was right. Sorry.
So we're talking Malone, Aguirre, and Jordan.
No, well,
If
yeah,
that came to be, that would be insane.
yeah.
I mean, what do you do with that?
You lose.
And Marcelo
You,
Blackman.
you
and-
start praying
and Dale
in a
Ellis
circle
and-
in the locker room
Oh, it's
before, during,
bad.
and after the game.
I mean, I just.
Oh, and who was the point guard that you mentioned?
Harper?
Harper. Derek Harper.
Yeah, Derek Harper. By the way, I just want to say this. In this draft where Dallas takes Sam Perkins, they have a second pick in the first round at 15 where they take some guy named Terrence Stansberry, but the very next pick is John Stockton.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my God.
You get John Stockton, Karl Malone, and Michael Jordan.
If Stockton and Malone ended up together, but with Michael Jordan,
In
They don't-
Dallas.
We're handing
How
out
many
titles like
titles did Dallas get?
all the 90s.
Yeah, I was going to say.
They just win the 90s.
Oh,
Could you
my
imagine?
gosh.
Olajuwon has 0. The Pistons have 0.
Right. I mean,
Like-
they're just.
they each have 10, and they're just splitting finals MVPs amongst each other.
Wow.
And just think,
Does Karl Malone become better than Tim Duncan? If he's,
No, I don't think so.
and just think, Michael Jordan, he leaves for 2 years, and
They could-
Dallas still holding it down.
Yes, Dallas
Dallas
just keep
still holds it
rolling.
down.
Guys, I'm gonna go take a break. You just take care of it real quick.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
Ain't that some shit?
Oh, my gosh.
I gotta go cover up my gambling real quick.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just done because he's already won what?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, the Bulls would. Yeah.
What a turn of events.
Our last two what ifs that revolved around all-time great point guards really ruined their careers. Like our last one where Steph went to the Timberwolves. Like we talked about all these other crazy scenarios, but Steph himself's career we pretty much decided would have gone downhill a lot. And now we're talking about Magic if he goes like the Bulls or something. All these other scenarios that would have led to all these other teams winning and Magic maybe not winning.
So let me
Right.
let's
So
let's
it's
go
kind
with
of-
this because really what the Bulls did well after Mike was they were good with the team building portion.
Right.
So what happens if Pippen ends up playing with Magic?
Ooh.
What does that do to Pippen's career?
When does Pippen get there?
That's a good question.
Because Magic's aids are going to kick in at the early 90s.
And Scotty's not good off the bat.
No.
It takes him a couple years.
Was he like 87? 86?
He's 87, 88 is his first season.
Yeah.
Yeah, Magic's winding. I mean, he's still really good.
Well, they win
really
the championship that year, don't they?
Right. They
Yeah.
win 87, 88.
I think it would him specifically playing with Magic instead of Jordan due to the way they play though. I think it would help Pippen develop offensively faster.
Offensively, I agree.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it would just make him a better offensive player in general, at least while Magic's there.
And if Magic is not running Showtime in L.A. with the
He
Lakers
doesn't
club,
get AIDS.
does he get AIDS?
Well, I mean, I didn't even think about that. That's different.
Yeah, if he's
him
not-
staying in the Midwest,
Right.
the wholesome Midwest
Closer
stuff.
to.
I mean, Magic will
to
be Magic,
Michigan,
but he's
where
not
he's
at
from.
he's not at the Forum Club every night with Jerry Buss.
Well,
Right.
all this is true, and LA is its own animal, but we're still talking about Chicago. It's not like
That's
Chicago is like Milwaukee.
That's
It's
true.
Chicago. It's like the second biggest city in the United States.
Yeah. But part of his problem was Cookie, that is now his wife,
Yeah.
was back in Michigan.
he can do whatever he
And
wants.
he was in L.A. with Dr. Buss at the Forum Club every
He had a
night.
club at his basketball court. He went from
Yeah,
the locker
I mean,
room
they-
to the
they
club.
built the Forum
That is pretty
Club
cool, let's be honest.
In,
That's
I mean,
pretty
it was built in the stadium.
I mean,
Yeah.
hey, ladies, I just had a triple double. He walks, he showers, then he goes to the club. He doesn't have to leave the building.
That's
And the
pretty
Laker
cool.
girls
I'm not
go
gonna
from
lie.
the floor to the club.
Yeah.
Everyone goes, especially if the Lakers win, to the game, to the club.
I mean, you read a lot of stories about Laker wives hated the Forum Club
I'm
and
sure.
did not want their husbands going there, period.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what they were doing there.
Yeah, that's right.
Everybody knows. Yeah. It's pretty awesome though that Dr. Bus did all that. It was
Yeah.
The fact he got a club put in his stadium.
pretty awesome.
Right. The
pretty
most exclusive club in L.A. was built into their stadium.
Pretty baller.
So
Bordello.
let me ask this: are Pippen and Horace Grant good enough to get older Magic a title?
If they develop properly, I think so.
I mean,
Magic made it to a finals, well, the one against Jordan and Pippen, with a much lesser cast, I think.
who they play?
And
Well, probably
Oh
Dallas.
no! Oh, no.
Yeah, probably Dallas. Yeah,
Probably
that's true.
playing Dallas.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Now and then.
Karl Malone against Horace Grant.
Yeah.
Michael against whoever the shooting guard is. So what? Scotty would probably guard Michael.
I mean, we did kind of pick out all the best players of these drafts and put them all on.
so we can take
Dallas.
take away.
We did.
John.
I mean, yeah, that.
Yeah.
But even if you're still looking at like Sam Perkins and Dale Ellis and Harper and Aguirre, like that's still a really good team.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, to say a team ends up with Stockton, Malone, and Jordan all within like a year or two of each other in the draft, I mean, you'd have to be one hell of a GM.
Yeah.
One hell
well,
of a GM.
the Malone thing though is
realistic.
It was a possibility.
was realistic.
We can
I'll
the
give you that
Stockton
one.
thing. We can.
because they'd be looking for a big man, and he
Michael-
would be
Michael-
about their draft.
and Michael was about, and he got hurt,
Michael breaks his foot that year.
right.
so they wouldn't be as good.
So they were
So-
would have been able probably to draft him.
Yep.
I can't imagine.
There's a possibility. Because isn't it Mike's second year when he breaks his foot?
Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
so.
I think it is. Yeah.
So that would be that season, I think, if we did the math right.
Oh my gosh.
We're kind of all over the place, but
When I first started thinking about this, I hadn't gone that far. I was thinking Lakers and Chicago. When you go that next level, what it does to Dallas. Wow.
it's crazy. All of our what ifs really led to these giant rabbit holes that you don't really
Well, it
expect.
affects more than just the teams we're talking about.
Right.
I mean, it affects the whole league.
It pretty much affects the next like decade of basketball and how all of it turns out.
I mean,
And it's pretty.
you think about if you took all of our what ifs, all four of them so far, and made them all come true, like together. The overall NBA landscape is unrecognizable.
Right.
Oh, we can, yeah, 100%.
Like we would be, our top 50s would look drastically different.
Yep.
We're talking about.
Well, the all-time greatest dynasties in NBA history would all be different,
Yeah.
outside of a few of the original ones.
Well, there's a chance for the Pistons to be a really good dynasty, like as a franchise in a whole.
There was just a lot of different scenarios we went through. Yeah.
Anyway, it's fun.
It is. It's very fun. I like this. This was a good idea. So I think, are we done talking about this what if, guys?
I mean, I think.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, I think we've hit all the major points.
Alrighty then. Well, we appreciate you tuning in for this San Antonio episode, and we would appreciate you tuning in next week for our Toronto Raptors episode. Even if you don't think Toronto has what it takes, please tune in, and we'll tell you whether it's true or not. We also would you could email us and let us know what you think of our what ifs. You can even give us your opinion on our what ifs. I'm sure Mark would have some strong opinions on some of these what ifs.
Yeah, Mark, you can email us too.
Yes, very much so. And thanks for tuning in to Sports the NEMO Way.